Good morning, namaskar. I heartily welcome you all to the second day of the seminar on folklore, tellings and retellings, and to the third session of the seminar, folklore and religious practices. The session will be chaired by Dr. Jancy James. I request Dr. Jancy James to kindly come onto the stage. Papers will be presented in this session by Shri Manjit Mahanta. I request Manjit ji to kindly come on to stage. Professor T. Dharmaraj. And Professor Dr. Balwant Jani ji. I formally introduce the participants. Professor Dr. Jancy James is the former Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Gandhi University of Kottayam and the founder Vice Chancellor of the Central University of Kerala. She was Professor of English at the Institute of English and Founder Director of the Center for Comparative Literature, Kerala University. A former member of the Sahitya Akademi and the President of the Comparative Literature Association of India, Dr. Jancy was a postdoctoral Commonwealth Fellow at the University of Warwick and Indo-Canadian Shastri Foundation Faculty Research Fellow at Toronto University. Author of 8 books and more than 50 research papers in both English and Malayalam, Dr. Jancy was also the Associate Editor of the path-breaking 2-volume work in women's literature, Women Writing in India, 600 BC to the present, published by City University, New York. Dr. Jancy is the recipient of several awards, including Bolt Award for Excellence in Education, Woman of Eminence Award in the Field of Education by LIC of India, and M.V. Piney Award for the Best Academician instituted by Cochin University of Science and Technology. Shri Manjit Mahantaji. Manjit Mahantaji is a research scholar doing his doctoral research on impact of developmental activities on folk life with special reference to Khelari block, Ranchi, Jharkhand, in the Center for Tribal Folklore Language and Literature, Central University of Jharkhand, Ranchi. After his master's in development studies from National Institute of Technology, Rourkela, he had served in the same institute as research assistant and later became research associate at Omio Kumar Das Institute of Social Change and Development, Guwahati. He has actively participated in various academic programs, international conferences, national seminars and workshops, and presented well-researched papers on different issues related to developmental initiatives. He has 5 publications to his credit, which include 2 seminar proceedings and 1 research article. He is currently translating Dr. Ram Dayal Munda's Adi Dharma into Ohmiya. Professor T. Dharmaraj is Professor of Folklore and Culture Studies at School of Performing Arts in Madurai Kamaraj University, Tamil Nadu. Some of his published books are I Am the Ancient Buddhist, Tamil Folkloristics, Why I Am Not Even a Dalit, and Kabali, Stories Within and Without the Screen, besides having some books which he has edited. Professor Dr. Balwant Jani ji, कंठस्थ परंपरा के गुजरात के लोक साहित्य, संत साहित्य, चारणी साहित्य और मध्यकालीन गुजराती साहित्य के विद्वान संशोधक के रूप में विख्यात हैं। वे क्षेत्र कार्य द्वारा ब्रिटेन और अमेरिका के गुजराती डायस्पोरा साहित्य के संशोधक, संपादक तथा इस्माइली साहित्य के अभ्यासु के रूप में भी प्रसिद्ध हैं। सोरबोन यूनिवर्सिटी पेरिस तथा ब्रिटेन और अमेरिका की विभिन्न यूनिवर्सिटियों में मुलाकाती अध्यापक पद पर व्याख्यान के लिए कई बार उन्होंने शैक्षिक विद्या कार्य में विदेश प्रवास किए हैं। साहित्य अकादमी के गुजराती परामर्श मंडल के वे सदस्य हैं तथा गुजरात राज्य के लोक गुर्जरी नामक लोक साहित्य के त्रैमासिक के पिछले 20 साल से संपादक भी हैं। लोक साहित्य विषय के उनके 10 पुस्तक प्रकाशित हुए हैं। चारणी साहित्य, संत साहित्य और मध्यकालीन गुजराती साहित्य विषय में उनके 30 से भी अधिक पुस्तक प्रकाशित हुए हैं। वे गुजरात साहित्य अकादमी के पुरस्कारों से तथा उत्तर प्रदेश के सुहृद पुरस्कार से, हेमचंद्राचार्य सुवर्ण चंद्रक से और डायस्पोरा साहित्य संशोधन सुवर्ण चंद्रक से भी पुरस्कृत हैं। अखिल भारतीय साहित्य परिषद के आप प्रमुख न्यासी हैं। After this formal introduction, I request the chair, Dr. Jensi, to kindly open this session.
Esteemed scholars on the dais who are going to make their presentations, and other scholars of the dais. A very good morning to all of you. As you know, the theme of this current session is folklore and religious practices. The chair is not expected to make a presentation, but generally speaking, as we have gone through some of the sessions yesterday also, folklore and particularly these tellings and retellings form a kind of a subcultural system for the classical texts of a nation. These retellings are challenges as well as complements to the classical text. Interestingly, I look upon these retellings in the folk area as a kind of inner decolonizations within the country, whereas the classical texts, particularly the epics, have institutionalized and kept as sacrosanct, unintervenable, a whole body of assumptions and texts. Here is coming from the lower ladders, from the tribal quarters, from those who were not considered as scholarly. Here is coming from these quarters attempts to de-elitize these classical texts. So in many ways, these retellings are subversive texts. They also in a way complement and supplement the gaps in the classical texts. The theme of this present session is religious practices. Having come from Kerala, particularly when you think about northern part of Kerala, the land of Theyyams and Therayatam, where legends and myths from the epics have been converted into texts for worship. Interestingly, this morning as I was reading Pakatayyapan's tale, Professor Rachadan knows that, how he actually grabs a particular part of Pulpalli and says, Sita, look here, you go out of this place. This is my place. So this is my performance area. And she actually is thrust out of this area. And she goes down. And in the Vayanadan Ramayana, Sita actually starts, collecting grass and all that. And then on the way, she meets Ravana. And they fall in love with each other. And it's after that that Rama actually meets Sita. Here it's a completely localized and, de-elitized picture of Ramayana, where Sita is taken by Ravana even earlier than Rama married her. And she's not taken in the Pushpaka Viman, but she is actually taken in a bullock cart. And when she's taken in a bullock cart, a bridge had to be made. So here comes Hanuman and his whole group. So the whole story is made down to earth. And then around that again we have a lot of practices, particularly rituals, all of which again bring down these highly placed divine deities down to the earth. The people can, brush shoulders with these gods. They can understand and identify with the feelings of these divine deities and entities in the classical text. They use a different language. And in the worship and in the prayers also, the same retellings get in. So the relationship between folk retelling and local ritualistic worship, it's very fascinating, particularly in India. Perhaps in a monotheistic, where there is only a single god, in a monotheistic culture, this kind of retelling is not perhaps possible. As I was listening to the talk in the inaugural session, I was just thinking, in Christianity, where there is only a single God, how the Bible is still, a very close to text. You cannot intervene or critique Bible like you do in the case of Mahabharata or Ramayana. It has got an open-endedness. Our culture is like that. In the Bible, but I found that, when Arnus Padri, one of the earliest missionaries from Germany, when he came to Kerala to propagate Christianity, he made interventions like the retellings, folk retellings of Ramayana and Mahabharata. He made interventions in the Bible by giving a different picturization of Holy Mary. Holy Mary, Mother of Christ also, is usually pictured as a very sacrosanct entity to be worshipped. It never occurred to anyone that, Mary could ever complain or be even sad about, the fact that Jesus is going to be crucified. Whereas in this particular poem written by this missionary, he presents Mary as an entirely different person. Mary says, after the death of Christ, well, if Judas, the person who betrayed, the disciple who betrayed Christ, if he is, if he were that greedy, if he had understood if he were that greedy, I would have begged and, made 30 coins and, saved my son from crucifixion. It's actually blasphemy, according to the Christian faith. Because it is all designed, it's all already, it is there. One cannot question that. And Mary was one who went with the will of God. But how this foreign missionary had the audacity to really, break down the sacred tenets of Christianity, the sacred imaging of Holy Mary in the Bible, and go for a retelling. So even in a monotheistic society, in a monotheistic structure, I found this very interesting poem. Today we have with us scholars, 3 of them have already been introduced to us, and we look forward to their presentation at a time when, religious practices and religion itself, emerge as something which splits people and which divides people. The folklore and the retold texts that function as the texts for worship and rituals. I have a beautiful hope that these even scholarly exercises would ultimately bring us all together, because these retellings, these popular local rituals, all of it ultimately address God and seek the blessing from the Almighty. How this is universal. There is a basic parity, there is a basic similarity in all forms of worship, where the human is reduced to, a humble but yet powerful entity, where all the elitist classical texts, become actually decolonized in order to give birth to a very direct, very transparent relationship and interaction with God. Thank you so much. I don't know if I've taken more time. 20 minutes given to each presentation, and I hope there will be some time for interaction, which will be good for you also to finalize your papers for, I think, publication by the Academy. Thank you very much.
Very good morning to all of you, respected chairperson ma'am.
Please speak a little louder.
Yeah, and distinguished academicians. So I'd like to present my paper on some aspects of folk belief and religious practice among the traditional Oraon society, a case study.
Next.
The term folk can refer to any group of people whatsoever who share at least one common factor. It doesn't matter what the linking factor is. It could be common occupation, language, or religion. But what is important is that a group formed for whatever reason will have some traditions which it calls of its own. The four categories of folklore are oral tradition, material culture, performing arts, and social customs and belief. The modern categories such as folk knowledge, traditional knowledge, worldview, sustainability, etc. can be incorporated and studied under these four categories without creating a fifth one.
Next.
The Oraon calls themselves Kruks or Kuruk as a group, and by their language they are identified as belonging to the Dravidian group along with Telugus, Tamils, Kannadigs, etc. The Oraon are the fourth largest tribal group in India after the Bhils, Gonds and Santhal. Oraon, Munda and Ho, the second, third and fourth largest tribal constitute 19.6, 14.8, 10.5% respectively of the total ST population in Jharkhand. It is according to census of 2001. Oraon's religious folk belief. Folk life of the Oraon is inextricably linked with nature. All the activities ranging from the least to the most eventful amply demonstrate this. However, it is most eventual one which highlights the relation between the environment and the Oraons. In the process, not only do their activities assume a community character, but they also acquire a ritual form. This eventually crystallizes into a belief system. The Oraons believe in the existing of spiritual beings as also in hierarchy of this being. For example, in Oraon, Dharmesh is the